I am William Reyes, proudly from BS at English 1A. Join me as we embark on another inspiring and insightful journey through this vision. Without further ado, let's the lesson going on. But before anything else, let me first know the objectives for today's discussion. We have three important learning objectives for this today discussion. At the end of the discussion, you are expected to demonstrate a mastery of pragmatics by evaluating personal experiences using a maxims of conversations. Secondly, we have to create a text using a speech act theory and sharing a personal experience and using implication. Before proceeding to our discussion, let's has first a motivational activity. So our activity entitled Guess the Meaning of the Context. The set context will flash on your screen and you're given at least 5 seconds to think what is your answer. So the first context is, can you pass the salt? So we have here, this is a polite request for the salt. Or letter B, with this is a questions about a person's ability to pass the salt. So technically speaking, the answer is A. And it's simply because in a dining context, can you pass the salt? Which means it is a literally inquiring about someone's ability. So the speaker is using a polite way and practicing asking for the salt to be passed to them. So the second context for pragmatics is it's a getting cold in here. So we have letter A. This is a comment on a temperature. Letter B is this is a request to close the window. So technically speaking, the answer is letter B. And it's simply because the context of a room which an open window that creates a clear implications towards the speaker. And it's not the simply stating a fact about the temperature, but nor it is a hunting at a desired actions to remedy the situation. I hope you learned something about this motivational activity. So moving on to the third and moving on for the last part for the motivation activity, which is that's a nice rest. So we have A, this could be a compliment for sarcasm, depending on the tone of voice. Letter B, we have this is a statement of fact about the dress. So technically speaking, the answer is letter A. And it simply means the meaning of the phrase is a heavily reliant on nonverbal cues. For instance, it is sincere tone and a friendly expression word that indicate a genuine compliment. While it's not a sarcastic tone or raised eyebrow or a massive gesture that would suggest the opposite meaning. So it is depends upon to the tone of the speaker on how they convey and interpret the content. In the previous chapter, we mentioned that it is a not only a linguistic branch of semantics that studies language meaning, but also pragmatics. The main difference, though, it is a semantic studies that conceptual meaning of the word and sentences, while pragmatics is a focus on the invisible meaning. According to Yulo, in 2006, that it is focused their invisible meaning based on the definition of Yulo. It must be both an interesting and challenging for us to able to see the invisible meaning. Let us now try to start seeing it is we proceed to the following sections. let's talk about pragmatics. Pragmatics is the study of language meaning in a context, focusing on the invisible meaning or what is implied rather than explicit state. Pragmatics. It is a study of how the context influence the meaning of language. It is focused on what is implied, inferred, or understood in specific situation, going behind the literal meaning of the words. While semantics versus pragmatics, deals with the literally dictionary meaning of the words and the sentences, regardless of the context. Just like, for example, it's raining means the water is falling from the sky. Pragmatics explore the implied meaning based on the context, including the speaker intent of the situational factor. Example, the someone sees it's raining while looking at the open window. They might be implied to close the window. The speaker versus meaning sentences is a literal meaning of the words that you use. Just like the speaker meaning, it is intended often to infer based on the context. Speaker's meaning versus sentence meaning, it is a sentence meaning, the literally dictionary meaning of a sentences that based on the words. Just like, for example, the wind is cold means the wind has a low temperature. Speaker meaning, the intended meaning behind the sentence shaped by the context. Example, the wind is cold mean please close the window. Context, it is the physical and social environment in which communications occur, influencing the meaning of utterances. The context, the situations of environment in which communications occur, influencing the meaning. And here are the types of context. Linguistic context, which the surrounding the words clarify meaning. Just like, for example, bank. Can we mean a financial institutions by the riverbank? The physical context, the setting of the speaker's experiences shapes the interpretations. Example, see you at the bank could mean a financial institution or
Good day to each and everyone. I am teacher Stacy Conilacson. So today we will discuss the presupposition, implications, and the cooperative principle. So first, what is presupposition? So a presupposition, I will give you an example. Where did you hide your handkerchief? Which means that the speaker already assume that his or her listener already know what tend to say by their expression. So that is presuppositions. I give you another example. How long you have been together? So it is an obvious question from a speaker. So the speaker already assumed that his or her listener and can also be reader already know what he was intent to say. So presupposition, we always use this in our daily interaction to other people. So now let's move forward to the second one is implication. So what do you mean by implication? Implicit. It's not explicit. So what is implicit? It is not directly stated. While explicit, it is directly stated. So I give you an example. Person A asks person B, have you already texted them? Person B replied, I don't have load. So the implicator there is I don't have load, which means that the person B still not texted them. So it is the hidden meaning or implied in an assurance conveyed beyond its proposition. Important of implicator it is to help us to have a better communication, not than by expressively expressing everything to a conversation. So it will not be enjoyable to have a conversation. Furthermore, so since the implicator is not explicitly stated, the speaker should make sure that the listener or the reader will know what they were saying or the meaning. Otherwise, one or more of the maxim will be violated. Cooperative principles. So what do you mean by cooperative principles? So under here is four maxims. So according to the English philosopher Paul Grice, he stated here the reason the why sometimes there's a miscommunication or misunderstanding. It is because it the both parties violated the four maxims. The speaker or and the listener should have appropriate context and always stick to the topic. So to avoid miscommunication or misunderstanding. That is the cooperative principle. So what are the four maxim we people should always use whenever we communicate or to interact to other people? So number one is the maxim of quantity. So if we communicate, we should not be explicitly state everything. It should be nothing more and nothing less. Maxim of quality. So what is the maxim of quality? It means that the information that we have should be truthful before we share it to other people. Number three is maxim of relations. So what is maxim of relation? It's your information should be relevant, not irrelevant. So number four is the maxim of manner. So what do you mean by the maxim of manner? We should be communicate clearly. So that's all for the presupposition, implicature, and the cooperative principle. So the four maxim will discuss my other co-teacher, teacher Kenneth. So I hope you understand. So the presupposition, it is the reader already assume that his or her listener or readers know what he was referring at or know what's the meaning behind his message, while the implicator it is not explicitly stated. While the cooperative principle, those are under from four maxims. English philosopher Paul Grice.
A pleasant day to each and everyone. Good day to you all. My name is Kenneth A. Gonzalez, and today I will be discussing the importance of maxims during in a conversation. Please take note. The Maxim of Conversation by Paul Grice, a British philosopher, introduced the concept of conversational maxims as part of his theory of implication. These maxims serves as guidelines for effective communication, ensuring that conversations are meaningful and productive. Each maxim plays a crucial role in how we convey and interpret messages. There are four types of maxims. First is the maxim of quantity. The maxim of quantity centers around the idea of providing the right amount of information in a conversation. It emphasizes that speakers should be as informative as necessary, but not overly so. As a speaker, he or she must provide adequate information. One should share enough information to address the topic at hand. For instance, if someone asks about the weather, a simple response like "It's sunny today." Another thing is the speaker must avoid redundancy. Offering excessive details can lead to confusion or boredom. For example, when asked about the movie, saying it's good is often more effective than a lengthy analysis unless further details are requested. The maxim of quantity is vital for maintaining engagement and clarity in conversation. It helps prevent misunderstandings and keeps discussion focused on relevant topics. By adhering to this maxim, the speaker can ensure that their contributions are both concise and informative, fostering a more effective and exchange of ideas. The second maxim is the maxim of quality. The maxim of quality revolves around the principle of truthfulness. It asserts that speakers should only convey information they believe to be true and should avoid making statements without adequate evidence. To a speaker, truthfulness must apply to this conversation. The speaker should not assert falsehood. For example, claiming that a well-known fact is true, like the earth revolves around the sun, maintains credibility. Second is the evidence-based statements. If unsure about a claim, it is better to refrain from making it or qualify it with uncertainty. For instance, saying I think or it seems can indicate certainty. This maxim is crucial for establishing trust in communication. When individuals adhere to the maxim of quality, they build credibility and foster a sense of reliability in their interactions. This is particularly important in professional settings, where misinformation can lead to significant consequences. The third maxim is the maxim of relation, also known as the maxim of relevance. This principle states that contributions to a conversation should be relevant to the topics at hand. It encourages speakers to stay on track and avoid introducing unrelated information. Uh, as a speaker in this type of classes, the third maxim is the maxim of relation, also known as the maxim of relevance. This principle states that contributions to a conversation should be relevant to the topic at hand. It encourages speakers to stay on track and avoid introducing unrelated information. The speaker must stay on his or her topic. Contribution should directly relate to the ongoing discussion. If someone is discussing their vacation or introducing unrelated topics, like politics, can derail the conversation. And another thing, it should be context matters. Understanding the context of a conversation is essential. For example, discussing personal experiences in a casual setting may be appropriate, while the same might not be suitable in formal meeting. The maxim of relation is essential for maintaining coherence and dialogue. By ensuring that contributions are relevant, speakers can enhance the flow of conversation and prevent confusions. This maxim helps participants understand each other better and keeps discussion productive. The last maxim, but not the least, is the maxim of manner. The maxim of manner emphasizes clarity in expression. It encourages speakers to communicate in a straightforward and orderly manner, avoiding ambiguity and obscurity. The speaker must use clarity and precision. Use a clear language and avoid jargon unless it is understood by all parties. For instance, saying I will meet you at 3 p.m. is clearer than using vague terms like later. And another, it should be orderliness. Present information logically. For example, when explaining a process, outlining steps in a sequence helps listeners follow along more easily. Importance. This maxim is fundamental for effective communication. Misunderstanding often arise from unclear language or poorly structured messages. By adhering to the maxim of manner, speakers can ensure their ideas are conveyed clearly and efficiently, leading to better comprehension and fewer miscommunications. Thank you, everyone. That's all for my topic. I hope you've learned something.
Good day, everyone. I am Shirhan E. Jacinto from DSS English 1A. I will discuss to you what is Speech act theory. So, speech act theory was proposed by British philosopher John Austin, one of the founder of Pragmatics. Speech act theory is an action can be performed by the speaker or the speaker asked to do. First, let's discuss the dictionary act, or in short, the literal meaning or intended meaning. For example, I would like to order a cup of coffee means that the speaker wants to order a cup of coffee. Or it's raining outside, the literal meaning that outside has been raining. Second is the illusionary act, the speaker's intention, like promising, apologizing, requesting, or call the system of social interaction. I will give an example. When the customer asks, "Do you have some water?" she's asking of water to drink, or it's raining outside, means she needs or he needs an umbrella. There are five types of electionary act by G.R. Shirley. First is assertive. It's representing of a reality. If you assert, it's a need to have confidence, especially of your voice. For example, Rodrigo Duterte is the president of the Philippines. You need to have a confidence so that the speakers or the listeners will listen to you. Second is directive, commits the speakers to do something like requesting or commanding. For example, Joy, stop playing Mobile Legend. It's commanding. Or please vote for me. It's a sign of requesting. Third is commensive, committing in the future, like promising oath. I will give an example. Starting next month, I will promise I will wake up early. That's promising. Honey, I will be there tomorrow. That's oath. Fourth is expressive. The word express or express the emotions or show the emotion and attitude, like apologizing, welcoming, and deploring, or meaning that deploring is disapproval of a sentence or to someone. For example, welcome back to my class means that she's welcoming. I'm sorry if I hurt you means that she's apologizing. So that is expressive. The last one is declaration. Change the preposition or haven't changed, like baptism, wedding, or law. For example, I will give an example. I hereby declared totally shut down in our country. That's a declaration of having changed. Or I pronouncing husband and wife. They are not means that they are not single anymore. They are married now. And the last one of speech act theory is the perlectionary theory, meaning the consequences of saying something. It can be persuading, inspiring. For example, I was born to be a Filipino. I will die to be a Filipino. Means it's inspiring, right? Or work here and abroad, the salary here is very high. That's persuading because she's persuading the person. So that is the end of my topic. Thank you.
Good day to everyone. I am teacher Eliza B. Tegson. So today I am going to discuss about turn taking. So let us define first what is turn taking. Turn taking, it is refers to a fundamental aspect of conversation structure in which one person speaks while the other listens. As the conversation progresses, the roles of the speaker and listeners alternate, creating a continuous flow of dialogue. So, meaning to say, turn taking is how people take turns speaking in a conversation. One person talks while the other listens, and then they switch. This help keeps the conversation flowing smoothly and ensure everyone has a chance to speak. It's done naturally through poses or body language, and it's important for clear and balanced communication. Turn taking was first explored by Harvey Sachs and Emmanuel Chagolf and Gail Jefferson in the late 1960s and early 1970s. Their model is widely accepted in conversation analysis. So now let's proceed to turn taking example. So the person A asks, "What did you do over the weekend?" Then person B respond, "I went to the beach with my family." Then person A asks again, Oh, that sounds nice. Did you have a good weather? Then person B replied, yes, it was really sunny and warm. So, in this example, person A initiates the conversation by asking a question, and person B responds. Then person A asks a follow-up questions, and person B answer again. This back and forth exchange shows the speakers take turns speaking and listening to maintain the flow of the conversation. Next is the turn taking in conversation. So, turn taking is central to conversation analysis, organizing distribution and flow of the speech. It ensures that there is always one speaker at a time with minimal pauses or overlaps. This allows conversations to stay continuous and engaging. So, meaning to say, turn taking is a key concept in conversation analysis which studies how conversations are structured. It helps organize who speaks and when ensuring that only one person talks at a time. By managing pauses and avoiding interruptions, turn taking keeps the conversation flowing smoothly. This creates a natural rhythm, making the exchange of ideas more engaging and allowing both speakers to contribute effectively. It plays an essential role in maintaining clear, balanced, and meaningful conversation. At a very young age, individuals are taught how to take turns in conversation, which helps shape their communication skills for life. Now let's proceed to structure of the turn taking. So turn taking is structured according to the three key components. So first is the turn taking component, second is the turn allocation component, third is the rules. So these components to ensure that speakers and listeners contribute appropriately to the conversation. So now let's begin with the first component, and it is the turn-taking component. So first, this includes the main content of the turn, which is composed of units and segments of the speech. These segments are called turn construction units, and the point at which a turn ends is known as a transition relevant point. So, in turn taking component, there are two segments. The turn construction units, these are the small section of the speech that make up a person's turn to talk, like a sentence or phrase. Number two, transition relevant point. This is the moment when our speaker finishes signaling it's time for the someone else to talk. So with the two segments together, they help structure when and how people switch turns in conversation. So for the first example, the first component about Evelyn. So Evelyn said, so that was all that happened to me today. How about you? So Evelyn reaches a transition relevant point by asking, how about you? Suggesting a exchange of speaker. Okay, for the second component, it is the turn allocation component. So this component involves techniques for appointing the next speaker, which can occur in two ways. So first is the current speaker chooses the next speaker. So in this conversation example, so Evelyn said, so that was all that happened to me today. How about you, Amir? And Amir respond, I had a good day. Thanks. So, in this example, Evelyn directly addresses Amir, signaling that it is his turn to speak. This is different from the turn taking component, where a general question is asked without appointing a specific speaker. Lastly, the next component of turn taking is the rules of turn taking. So the rules of turn taking determine the next speaker and aim to minimize pauses and overlaps, creating a smoother conversation. So first, the current speaker appoints the next speaker. Second, one of the listeners selects themselves as the next speaker. Third, if no one selects themselves, the current speaker continues until the next transition relevant point is reached. So, these rules ensure that only one speaker speaks at a time. the next gap between one speaker finishing and the next speaker starting is minimized.
So, good afternoon everyone. My name is Fatima Shadra Brin Muhajiran. So, my topic part is all about the types of turn taking. So, let's begin. Adjacency pair, these are sequences of two related utterances where the second is a response to the first. For example, Evelyn said, "Did you like your coffee?" And Maya responded, "Yes, it was nice, thank you." Adjacency pairs can also include other forms like compliment, thanks, accusation, admission, request acceptance, and etc. An adjacency pair is two consecutive turns in conversation that are related and predictable, like a question and answer. Intonation, a drop in pitch or volume, often signals the end of a speaker's turn, prompting the next speaker to take over. Intonation is the rise and fall of the voice pitch speaking. It's not about what you say, but how you say it. Intonation conveys meaning beyond the words themselves, expressing emotion, emphasis, and grammatical structure. Gestures, nonverbal cues like hand waves or other gestures can indicate that the current speaker is ready to allow someone else to speak. Gestures are movements of the body, especially hands and arms, that communicate meaning. They can be intentional or unintentional and often accompany speech, adding emphasis or conveying information not explicitly stated in words. Gaze direction. The speaker often looks downward when talking and upward when listening. A steady gaze from the speaker signals a transition relevant point, indicating it is time for the next speaker to take over. When someone is speaking, they look down, and then when they're listening, they look up. A steady gaze at the end of a turn signals that it's time for the next person to speak. Interruption. This occurs when listener cuts in while the speaker is still talking, taking over the conversation. For example, Maya said, "And then my uncle told me to calm down." And Amy responded, "Do you just hate it when they say that? I have told you about the time when." An interruption is when one speaker starts talking before another speaker has finished taking control of the conversation. Overlaps. Overlap happen when two or more speakers talk at the same time. This often results from lack of interest in listening or from a competitive conversational dynamic. Overlaps occur when two or more speakers talk simultaneously, often due to poor listening or competition for speaking time. Gaps. Gaps are silences that occur when no one speaks immediately after a speaker finishes their turn. This usually happens when the current speaker does not appoint the next speaker or when listeners do not select themselves. Gaps are silences between turn in a conversation, often caused by a lack of clear turn-taking cues. The importance of turn taking. So, turn taking. Turn taking is crucial for effective communication as it ensures that active listening and productive discussion. It helps maintain a smooth and engaging conversation, allowing both speakers to contribute equally. Turn taking is a crucial skill for children learning to speak and communicate. It helps them develop the ability to take turns talking and listening, which is essential for successful conversation. Turn taking is Turn taking is a fundamental skill in speech and language development, particularly for children. It's the ability to alternate between speaking and listening, forming the foundation of effective communication. Therapeutic preschool programs and turn taking. Children with speech delays or conditions like autism spectrum disorder or ASD may struggle with turn taking. Therapeutic preschool programs can help develop these skills through structured activities, including engaging in play, games, social stories, and magic wand. Engaging in play, teachers and parents model turn taking during playtime, clearly stating when it is the child's turn speak or play. Games Games help reinforce turn taking by clearly identifying when each player's turn begins. Social stories. Teachers may use social stories to explain turn taking in a way of easy for children to understand. Magic wand. A tool like a magic wand can be used to show who has the floor to speak.